Business Insider reported an interesting little study showing that regular drinkers are less likely to die prematurely than people who don't drink at all. The study looked at individuals between ages 55 and 65, spanning a 20-year period, and accounted for variables ranging from socioeconomic status to level of physical activity. Of the 1,824 study participants, 41% of the moderate drinkers died prematurely. 69% of the non-drinkers died prematurely. That's a lot of people. And 60% of the heavy drinkers died prematurely. Some of the reasons that they say that drinking could be helpful beyond, there's Restravol in red wine, and as I always say, Barbara Walters bathes in it. That alcohol is also a social lubricant. You have a drink, you talk to people, and your endorphins start going. You feel better. You might treat yourself a little bit better. So there's some social reasons for it. Non-drinkers have also been shown to have greater instances of depression, which even though alcohol is depressant, I think that's kind of interesting. So first off, do we just have to say that excessive drinking is no good, but that basically
First off, I would look at who paid for that study.
As always.
Absolute vodka?
Yeah.
Who did this? I mean, it's kind of an
Business
unusual...
Insider, they didn't do the study, but they reported on it. And
Someone paid for it, though. That's where you could do a little digging.
Every study we do, you gotta,
Almonds are supposed to cure cancer. Well, who presumably paid for that study?
You're telling me the almond people are no good?
I would assume so. I'm a skeptic.
It is interesting,
in
if
these
you
things.
don't drink, you might die prematurely.
Right.
I know anytime there's a little bit of fear and negative language put in something, I agree with you. When I see negative language in studies and I see a little bit of something fear, like words die prematurely, which they, by the way, never identify what prematurely means.
It's like natural causes. Like,
yeah,
what does that
that mean? So you're dying prematurely means you're dying before the average person dies of natural causes. My New York accent came out there. I'm assuming it's dying before natural causes? What does that mean? What is that happening? No, like,
now that was Jackie Mason, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, moderation. But I hadn't really looked this up, but I did Google the top 10 drinking countries, and Great Britain is number 1, and China and Russia 2 and 3. It's interesting, and America didn't even make the top 10 list. So we tend to be living pretty long here, but I think it's there's so many factors in that, and I think that study is skeptical at best.
Yeah, so we've had a theme in this episode, at least, of these social things. Is the next thing that's going to happen once the weed thing is taken care of, that the next fight might be to lower the drinking age? Because right now we can send you off to fight a war overseas, and you're not allowed to have a beer. That's
going to really depend on law enforcement and what they think financially is going to go into policing that and changing things with that. I mean, I don't understand why an 18-year-old who's an adult and can go off to war can't have a beer. It's ridiculous. It's silly to me, the fact that you can have marijuana now. Is it 18 or 21?
It's 21
with marijuana too.
Yeah.
It just seems silly. If you're an adult, or are you not? So, I mean, silly to me.
Yeah. What's the rationalization there when people say you can go to war? We will literally send you across the world
I'll tell you,
to kill
the
people.
rationalization is when you're younger and you're 18, you are less likely to make good decisions, so you might sign up to go to war, and America wants that. Seriously, if they say that when you're 18, you might make poor decisions, you might misuse marijuana or alcohol, that's probably true, because when I was 18, I probably didn't have all the information or wisdom I have now. I certainly didn't.
Yeah.
And when I was 18 years old, or when anybody's 18 years old, you're more likely to make a judgment based on something irrational. So of course, they don't want you to drink, but they don't want to stop you from signing up to a war that they just to go.
Right, you might have the irrational thought that the government would take care of you after the war.
And by the way, I'm not saying that everybody who goes to war is being irrational or stupid or anything. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, obviously, they're doing something that other people aren't doing, but I'm saying it is in the best interest to have younger people who might be more risk takers, rather than as you get older, you get more risk averse, most people, to go off into something that's really scary. Because right now, I can't even imagine, when I was younger, if you had sent me into some sort of battle, I probably would have had that false sense of I can't die, nothing's gonna happen to me, and the future is great. But as you get older, you get like, oh, everything's terrifying, and you get scared.
Yeah.
Not me.
Not you?
Yeah.
Are you taking more risks now?
I'm drunk right now.
So I said the flasks.
I want to live. What's in there?
Fred water. What's in the Fred flask-shaped water?
Vodka-looking water.
Yeah, by the way, for the record, we are not being paid by the Fred people, as far as I know. If they had done this study and it had come out the other way, saying that drinking does lead to premature death, do you think that would stop anyone from drinking? Because to me, these things, I agree, these studies are, you got to figure out where they're from and all that, but also that people just sort of do what they do, and we can look at it, but They just do what they do.
There's a stigma against drinking in this country. We even prohibited it for about 5 years with prohibition, which didn't work. So you have families in Europe that start kids drinking a glass of wine or sip of wine when they're young. And so it's not a big don't. And now in this country, you have to wait till you're 21, so people figure out a way to get around that. So it might be reasonable to lower it. And again, once you can have it and it's legal, then there's not as much interest. And I think that's probably a healthy thing to do.